Maarufu Kenya Human Rights Commission inatarajiwa kuzindua ripoti kuhusu mkopo uliozinduliwa na serikali ya Kenya Kwanza wa Hustler Fund. Tuvuke hadi kwenye ukumbi ambako uzinduzi huo unaendelea. Tusikilize ni yepi ambayo yanajiri.
So, in terms of demystifying the Hustler Fund, this is a fund that exists. It provides innovative and affordable accessible financial products. It exists to, broadly it was launched in November of 2022, and the startup capital was 50 billion. Credit facility aimed at increasing financial inclusion. It was established under the 2022 Financial Inclusion Fund regulations, and you will note that the regulations came way later after the launch of the Hustler Fund, and this happened because there are people that went to court because again, this fund was existing. It was existing in a vacuum. I would call basically just a political kind of project at that particular time, until when a group of people went to court, and thereafter we had the development of these regulations. Also, we have telecommunications that have then partnered with the fund to be able to just provide the lending services. That's Safaricom. We have the Airtel and Telcom as well. So we want to look at broadly the findings. We can move to the next slide. And this is with regards to the disbursement of and repayment of these funds. So as of September 2024, and this is based on the Auditor General reports, as I've said again, not much information is out there. The information that we have out there are those ones that have been through statements by these ministries, and so basically very, very shallow. But it's important that we note that this is information from the Office of the Auditor General. So 53 billion had been disbursed. That is through the personal loans, people that basically accessed loans to support their services. Then we have the group micro enterprise loans. As of September again, 179.3 billion had been disbursed. One other important thing to note is with regards to the repayment of these loans. So when you talk, you can move to the next slide. Yes. So when you talk about the repayment of these loans, we see that about 10.9 billion has not been repaid. So that's really a lot of money. A whopping 10.9 billion has not been repaid. That's according to the 2022-2023 Auditor General reports. And according to the 2023-2024, about 8.7 billion again has not been repaid. And this is not likely to happen because we are talking about more than 90 days, close to a year. If people have not paid this money, this is money that we can say is lost confidently. So when you compare these amounts of money and with the other existing funds, I talked about the Women Enterprise Development Fund, we talked about the Youth Enterprise Development Fund, and also the Uwezo Fund. So with regards to Women Enterprise Fund, averagely, repayment is usually at 92%. The UNDEF, that's about 78%. One that is not performing, that almost looks like that of the Hustler Fund, is the Uwezo Fund that was established in 2014. It fares at 40.6%. So really, also with regards to that fund, a lot has also been lost in terms of taxpayers' money. So we can move to the next slide. There are factors affecting disbursement and repayment of the Hustler Fund that this study established. So for instance, the enabling environment, and when you talk about the enabling environment, we are talking about the legal framework, and we are also talking about the political economy of the fund. So with regards to the enabling environment, that's the laws, we see that we have acts such as the Microfinance Act and also the SACCOS Act, and these ones are broadly supporting the private sector. They are the ones that benefit more. So we see that when you talk about financial inclusion funds, broadly they support the private sector and not the public, not the general public. So there's quite a gap there. And the financial inclusion fund, or rather how the Hustler Fund was coined, was basically to address those gaps that exist. However, there are challenges with this framework or the regulations that have been provided to support the existence of the Hustler Fund, that within this regulation, what is lacking is a clear recovery regulation clause in that particular, in the regulations. So what this means is that you will disburse monies out there, but you have no controls. You are unable to be able to ensure that repayment of these loans or the monies that are being disbursed out happens. Again, when you talk about the Hustler Fund, the other challenge that is there is that it's centralized. Unlike the other funds, the Women Enterprise Fund and also the Youth Enterprise Development Fund, which have been decentralized and allows for people at the local level to access these funds, that's not the case with the Hustler Fund, which is centralized. It's broadly managed from here, Nairobi. So many, especially in the constituency level or down there at the local level, are not able to ensure that they get, they are conversant, but they can also get to understand how the fund is being managed. So there is the political economy. So again, we all know how the Hustler Fund came. During the campaigns campaigns in 2022, this was a political project. There was a promise that Hustler Fund will be established. And during when this promise was made, number one, people were told that they will access loans at no interest rate. But then when it was established, they were told there's no free money. You'll have to pay with an interest. So again, there was really no clarity as to the existence and the purpose of the Hustler Fund. That has gained shape. It's not yet there completely. And so we noted through this research, and also based on the people that we talked to, that their understanding and their perception is that the Hustler Fund is a reward for voting in the Kenya Kwanza administration or government. Hence, repayment of the same is unnecessary. So this is quite a concerning finding, because many look at the Hustler Fund as a giveaway. It's a campaign pledge to them, and so they are being rewarded by the government, and they do not have an obligation to be able to pay these money. So that's one of the other findings that we got from this study. We then looked at the issue of financial access. And when you talk about financial access, we looked at the access, the usage, and quality and impact, because those are the key dimensions for financial inclusion. And this is not just a definition that we came up with as Kenya Human Rights Commission, but it's an acceptable definition, there are acceptable parameters and dimensions when you talk about issues financial inclusion, and this is acceptable to the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics and also financial sector depending, the FSD. So broadly, those parameters, as we are looking at the findings, we want to understand access, we want to understand the usage, we want to understand the quality and impact, because that's the only way you are able to know whether the financial inclusion funds are performing optimally or not. So when you look at that graph there, this is a graph where we are looking at information from 2006 to 2021, what has really been happening. So when you look at that graph particularly, you will see that there's one going up there, and that is the formal. So when it comes to access, many people have gone the formal way in terms of accessing loans or financial products and services. And it grows, and you can see a bit of it go down in the year 2021, and this is because of the COVID shocks. That's why it went down. But then you can see that many Kenyans have gone formal in terms of accessing. We can also see in terms of the informal, the line is really going down, so many people are really getting out of the informal arrangements. And also the number of those that we feel or we saw that have been excluded has also been going down. So that's the performance broadly in terms of access. So we see many Kenyans actually going the formal way in terms of accessing our financial products and also services. We can move. So we look at the usage, and when we look at the usage, we compared existing information again between 2019 and 2021. So when it comes to usage, when people access these financial products.
Na mtazamaji, tunazidi kufuatilia taarifa hiyo. Tutakuwa tunakujuza mengi zaidi kuhusiana na ripoti hiyo kuhusu Hustler Fund.